Hello and welcome to my basic Shadow Priest guide. I'll be discussing the abilities, talents, and gear you'll need to start using this class effectively. After this video, or if you already know the basics, consider watching my advanced tactics and text guide. I will also be releasing boss guides for the mythic fights and how to utilize the spec to its full potential for each encounter. Almost every ability we cast will give us Insanity, our main resource. Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain are our two main dots and will generate 6 and 4 Insanity on cast, respectively. Every time Shadow Word Pain crits, a shadowy apparition will float to the target and deal damage. Shadow Word Void is a single target damaging ability that will generate 15 Insanity at the end of the cast. Mind Flay is a single target channel that will generate 3 Insanity per tick or 6 per global cooldown. Void Eruption is castable at 60 Insanity and causes us to enter Void form. While in Void form, Void Bolt is then granted to us and is yet another single target ability that will generate 20 Insanity instantly. Void Bolt will also extend the duration of both of our dots on every enemy around the target by 3 seconds. All of our utility spells will generate 6 Insanity when cast through the Hallucinations passive. Shadow Fiend is our 1 cooldown and will generate 3 Insanity every time it swings. Void Form is a constant state that buffs our spell damage and gives us a stacking haste buff, but drains Insanity quicker and quicker until you run out at 0 and start another cycle. For the 15 tier, Shadow Word Void is the choice to make. It gives us 2 charges of the spell, which gives us much more control over our Insanity. On the 45 tier, Twist of Fate is the go-to option, granting us 10% increased damage for 8 seconds after damaging an enemy below 35% HP, unless there are way too many targets to dot like Orgazoa and Zakul, where Misery makes our lives a lot easier by causing Vampiric Touch casts to also apply Shadow Word Pain. The 75 tier will end up being exclusively Auspicious Spirits once you are geared enough, causing shadowy apparitions to generate 2 Insanity when they deal damage. But on Savara and Ashvane, Shadow Crash is a slightly better single target talent, granting 20 Insanity on a 20-second cooldown until you have the haste and crit for Auspicious Spirits single target. The 90 and 100 tiers will always be Lingering Insanity and Legacy of the Void. Lingering Insanity causes Void Form haste stacks to decay over time when Void Form ends instead of dropping instantly. Legacy of the Void will cause Void Eruption to be castable at 60 Insanity instead of at 100 and increase spell damage by another 5%. The 30 tier is either Body and Soul for the extra mobility when you cast Power Word Shield, or Sand Lane to massively increase your effectiveness of Vampiric Embrace. The 60 tier entirely depends on what your team needs. I like interrupt cooldown reduction, so I'm running Last Word. For your Azurite powers, you'll want 3 Chorus of Insanity, granting you a large decaying crit buff based on your Void Form stacks when exiting Void Form, similar to Lingering Insanity. 2 Spiteful Apparitions, causing your shadowy apparitions to deal bonus damage to targets afflicted by your Vampiric Touch. And 1 Whispers of the Damned, causing your Shadow Word Void crits to generate an additional 20 Insanity. You can acquire this setup with the Helm from Radiance, the Chest from Zakul, and the Titan Residuum Shoulders, the Mantle of Ceremonial Ascension. Due to Lingering Insanity and Chorus of Insanity being very powerful passives, our goal is to get as high of a Void Form stack as possible each time, which then gives you more crit and haste to the next Void Form, which allows you to get more Void Form stacks on that Void Form, and the cycle continues. Mastery will increase the damage of your shadow spells, and versatility will increase your overall damage, but crit will generate additional effects like shadowy apparitions and the bonus Insanity from Whispers of the Damned, and haste will cause you to be able to cast more spells in the same amount of time, which will increase your Insanity gains. This means that haste is going to be your primary stat and crit is going to be your second stat. All gems and enchants are going to be for haste. Sockets are going to be worth 5 item levels for weapons, 10 item levels for high intellect pieces like legs, 20 item levels for low intellect pieces like cloaks, and 30 item levels for rings due to the power of haste. Your best essences will be Memory of the Lucid Dreams Major, Blood of the Enemy Minor, and Essence of the Focusing Iris Minor. If you are low on gear, a Crucible of Flame will be better than Blood of the Enemy for single target fights. If you need burst damage, like on Ashvane with the 2-phase strat, Condensed Life Force is the way to go, pushing Lucid Dreams to a minor slot, where Iris is going to be your best single target option, and Blood of the Enemy is going to be your best multi-target option for your second minor. The Inscription Trinket, Highborn Compendium of Storms, and the Cyclotronic Blast red card from Rustbolt Resistance Revered in the pocket-sized computation device will be your best trinkets until you can get a 435 or higher Leviathan Xylor, replacing your Compendium, and a 445 or higher Shiver Venom Relic, replacing your Cyclotronic Blast, sockets being worth about +5. You want to use your on-use trinkets right after having exited a Void form for the maximum Chorus of Insanity damage boost. The Ashara Staff effect can also be procced reliably because of Power Word Shield, and thus is worth 10 item levels in the weapon slot. The crit damage Benthic boots are a must-have, and the frost damage wrists are as well. The aberration damage belt is also a must on Orgozoa and Zakul. The frost damage gloves and the physical damage belt are both great, but I have a 445 plus socketed haste gear in both of those slots, which perform better. I also have a Benthic cloak due to its stats and socket being better than even the 445 cloak from Orgozoa, and I haven't gotten a better socketed one yet. After switching my essences back to the basic single target setup, I will demonstrate a few of the rotation basics. Unfortunately, in 8.2.5, you can no longer pre-void form due to the hallucinations nerf. I'll go more into depth about that in the advanced guide. Shadow Word Pain is the first dot that I applied due to the fact that its crits cause shadowy apparitions. The basic rotation is Void Bolt, 2 spells, and then Void Bolt again. When you go above 140% haste, you'll do Void Bolt and then 1 spell and then Void Bolt again, which is why I have a stat tracking weak aura on my UI. You want to use Shadow Fiend when you feel yourself start to slip in Insanity, but before you're already behind, as it's only 3 Insanity per swing. You want to cast Lucid Dreams at the last possible second, but not too late as you risk dropping Void form to the drain speed increasing. You see here that I did Lucid and then Shadow Word Void, which is a scarier version due to the fact that Shadow Word Void gives you Insanity at the end of the cast, whereas Void Bolt will give you Insanity instantly, making it much more likely to stay in Void form if you can manage to cast the spells in that order while playing chicken with the Insanity meter. Thank you for watching my basic Shadow Priest guide for 8.2.5. I would highly recommend checking out the advanced guide when you feel ready to take the next step in mastering Shadow Priest. Also keep an eye out for my boss guides to explain how to min-max your performance on each of the mythic encounters. You can check out my stream linked in the description to ask me questions or just to hang out. Have a wonderful day, and may the crits be ever in your favor.